Hi there, aspiring achievers. I realize that we are all at different stages of awareness about underdeveloped executive function skills and adult ADHD. And if you are just becoming aware, I don't want to assume that you know what I mean when I say underdeveloped executive function skills, or why they're important, or how to tell if you need help with yours. So just in case you aren't yet fully aware of how well-developed executive function skills can make you more competent and able to live a less chaotic life, I want to share a bit of information about that with you today. Well-developed executive function skills help you see the bigger picture of your life with greater clarity and be responsive instead of reactive when things happen, and appropriately transition from one task to another, and give empowering meanings to situations instead of limiting ones from the past, and to see yourself neutrally in your interactions with others. They also help you to get started and follow through to completion on tasks, integrate new pieces of information as it comes in with what you already know, organize your thoughts and plan what to say and do with the needed details, prioritize thoughts or tasks appropriately, make a schedule and follow it, monitor the tasks that are your responsibility, and course correct when things get off course. Organize your physical things to minimize clutter and know where your things live. Put your focus and attention where it needs to go, when it needs to be there, and how to maintain all of this throughout your adult life. There's more, but I think you get the picture. These executive function skills are all important for us to function well as an adult, whether this means raising children, running a household, working for a company or for ourselves, or being in healthy relationships. These skills are necessary so that we can get things done and not be in a constant state of overwhelm or frustration because we can't keep up with our adult responsibilities. We need to be competent in these executive function skills in order to feel confident in our adult life. So here's some examples of underdeveloped executive function. Being very distractible or having trouble focusing on just one thing. Focusing too much on just one thing. Daydreaming or spacing out when you need to be paying attention, such as during a conversation or a meeting or in class or with an exam or even driving. Trouble planning or carrying out a task because you can't visualize the finished product or goal. You lack the details and criteria for the task. Difficulty motivating yourself to start a task that seems difficult or uninteresting, and not knowing how to shift your state so you can feel like it. Struggling to move from one task to another, often because of emotional reasons. Getting distracted or interrupted partway through a task, causing you to misplace items or lose your train of thought, like forgetting to turn off the oven because you were going to do so in just a minute, and that turned into hours and a burnt supper. Problems with impulse control, like eating foods you said you wouldn't because you're wanting to feel healthier. Struggling with thinking before you speak, which causes you to blurt out the first interesting thing that pops into your head without considering whether or not it's totally off topic or not. having trouble explaining your thought process clearly because you understand it in your head, but putting it into words for others feels overwhelming. So, if you're living more like the underdeveloped examples rather than the well-developed examples, you just might want some help with your executive function skills. We all have executive function strengths and challenges that affect our attention, our mood, our learning, work, and relationships. However, if your executive function skills are too underdeveloped, your challenges might overshadow your strengths and cause you needless suffering. And if knowing there is a diagnosis that explains what I'm sharing with you, whether or not you have ADHD, if it's comforting to you, then listen up. In the newest version of the ICD-11, they added a diagnostic code for, quote, impaired executive functioning, end quote. And they describe it as, quote, impairment in higher level cognitive abilities such as planning, sequencing, concept formation, abstracting, and decision-making, end quote. And that code number in the ICD-11 is MB21.7, if you want to look it up. And one other important fact about executive function skills is that you don't have to have adult ADHD to have underdeveloped executive function skills. The underdevelopment of these skills can occur due to chronic depression, chronic anxiety, chronic illnesses, plus addictions, or even traumatic experiences. And if you do have adult ADHD, it's highly likely that you also have underdeveloped executive function skills.
Welcome to the Living Beyond ADHD podcast. If you're looking for a fresh perspective and actionable steps on hot topics from focus to follow-through to self-management and more, you are in the right place. Welcome your host, innovative educator, coach, and psychotherapist, Dr. B.
Next, I want to talk about adult ADHD. The DSM-5, which is the most often used diagnostic manual, states that ADHD is characterized by a persistent pattern of inattention and or hyperactivity and or impulsivity that interferes with functioning or development. After that, the manual has a long list of other symptoms that are considered part of the diagnosis for adult ADHD, which I feel are all executive function skills. It's why I said earlier that you don't have to have adult ADHD to have underdeveloped executive function skills. And then if you do, it's highly, highly likely that you also have underdeveloped executive function skills. While facilitating an adult ADHD meetup group for a number of years, what members mostly talked about were all the other things in the list of symptoms, and not so much about the inattention, the hyperactivity, or the impulsivity. Yes, they experienced those three symptoms, but more so all the rest of the symptom list. This got me to thinking about the symptoms and differential diagnoses, especially while being a primary researcher for 2 international studies back around 2005. I realized that many of the participants in the major depression study most likely had underdeveloped executive function skills, and that it may have played a factor in their ongoing depression. Just a theory of mine, since we weren't assessing for executive function skill development in that study. An accurate differential diagnosis is really important to determine what is primary, what is secondary, and to rule in or rule out other reasons for the symptoms that you're experiencing. This is important given the fact that many adults worldwide are self-diagnosing their ADHD for a variety of reasons, and there just may be more to it than their ADHD. So, could someone be anxious or depressed because of their underdeveloped executive function skills and their inability to function well in their adult life? Absolutely. And what causes these executive function skills to derail in the first place and then remain underdeveloped? Many different life experiences. And could someone be misdiagnosed with depression and/or anxiety as the primary diagnoses when in fact these conditions are a result of their undiagnosed executive function skill underdevelopment? Absolutely. Over the 30 plus years of my career as a licensed therapist, facilitator of an ADHD meetup group for adults, volunteer in ADHD organizations as a conference speaker and support group facilitator, as well as a member of professional advisory boards, it's become clear to me that how we're viewing this global problem is too narrow and incomplete. I'm clear that the bigger problem is about underdeveloped executive function skills that remain that way once they derail, because they don't just reboot after whatever derailed them concludes. And what derails them? Depression, anxiety, ADHD, traumatic events, addictions, chronic illnesses, and more. How does this derailment take place? Well, we're all wired for the development of these executive function skills when we're born, and they begin to develop throughout childhood, and then life happens. The energy and the attention that was going into their development gets pulled to something else that needs our attention and our energy, such as the conditions that I mentioned. We deal with those situations, and once they're over, life returns to some version of normal, except it doesn't. Our executive function skills have derailed and need to be intentionally rebooted to continue their development. If we don't intentionally do so, then our development has stalled out wherever it did. Is the vastness of this problem becoming more clear to you? I hope so. In case you're new to the world of adult ADHD and diagnostic criteria, let me offer you some concrete information about that diagnosis. According to the DSM-5, all of the following criteria must be met for diagnosis of ADHD in adults: 5 or more symptoms of inattention and/or equal to or greater than 5 symptoms of hyperactivity, impulsivity must have persisted for 6 months or more to a degree that's inconsistent with the developmental level and negatively impacts social, academic, occupational activities. Second, several symptoms, inattentive or hyperactive, impulsive, were present before the age of 12. Now, this used to be before the age of 7, and both these ages are arbitrary. Third, several symptoms, inattentive or hyperactive, impulsive, must be present in 2 or more settings, like home, school, work, with friends or relatives, or in other activities, and these symptoms must occur often, which is subjective. Next, there is clear evidence that the symptoms interfere with or reduce the quality of social, academic, or occupational functioning. And last, the symptoms do not occur exclusively during the course of schizophrenia or another psychotic disorder and are not better explained by another Mental disorders such as mood disorder, anxiety disorder, dissociative disorder, personality disorder, substance intoxication, or withdrawal. And very important, the diagnosis should be based on a complete history and evaluation of the patient and not just what I read. So, the following symptoms are listed in the DSM-5 for making a diagnosis of adult ADHD, yet these symptoms are based on male children and have been modified as symptoms for all adults. ADHD symptoms of inattention, making careless mistakes and lacks attention to detail, difficulty sustaining attention, does not seem to listen when spoken to directly, fails to follow through on tasks and instructions, exhibits poor organization, avoids or dislikes tasks requiring sustained mental effort, loses things necessary for tasks and activities, easily distracted, including unrelated thoughts, is forgetful in daily activities, and ADHD symptoms of hyperactivity and impulsivity, fidgets with or taps hands or feet, squirms in seat, leaves seat in situations when remaining seated is expected, experiences feelings of restlessness, has difficulty engaging in quiet, leisurely activities, is on the go or acts as if driven by a motor, talks excessively, blurts out answers, has difficulty waiting their turn, and interrupts or intrudes on others. You know, it's not your fault if you think it's ADHD that's been biting you in the butt all these years. The symptom list for ADHD is about 90% underdeveloped executive function skills, and that 90% belongs in the diagnostic criteria for other conditions such as chronic depression, anxiety, illnesses, as well as addictions and traumatic experiences. Life's become increasingly challenging for many people. More and more women are being diagnosed later in life and sometimes much later in life. If this is you, then you're recognizing the significant impact that not knowing has had on your life. And if you stop there, it doesn't necessarily get better. You need to take action by developing your executive function skills, the very life skills that we all need to create a quality of life for ourselves that we're happy with. And that's why I want to make sure that everyone knows the developmental state of their executive function skills. It's why I created the free resource as a starting point for that purpose. Have you gotten your free PDF? 13 Signs Weak Executive Functioning is Holding You Back? And have you read it and scored yourself? If not, there's no time like the present to do so. And if that free PDF shows you that your executive function skills are sorely lacking in their development, and you want to know what you can do about that news, be sure that you take this next step. Get your free roadmap and free training video about the Transformation Club. It may be exactly what you've been waiting for, especially if you aren't ready yet for the Adventures in Achievement Foundational Skills program. I've been asked a number of times to create something that's smaller than the Adventures in Achievement Foundation Skills program as a place for people to start working with me. And that's exactly what the Transformation Club is. I just rolled it out, and there's a limited time offer that's waiting for you until November 30th, 2022. I'm excited about this new opportunity for you and this new vehicle for me to serve more people who need to be developing their executive function skills. And the bottom line, when your executive function skills are underdeveloped is that you are just, and the bottom line is that when your executive function skills are well developed, as you need them to be so you can be competent as you need to be in today's world. The Transformation Club is a unique membership that helps adults with underdeveloped executive function skills, whether you have ADHD or not, increase competence within days without overwhelm or moral judgments or self-doubt, so that you can feel calm and in control. So, your next step, once you know that your executive function results are holding you back, or even before, is to find the link in the show notes and get your free roadmap and free training about the Transformation Club. Take action right away and find out if the Transformation Club is right for you before this very special lifetime offer goes away for good at midnight on November 30th, 2022. That's right. This is an offer for lifetime access, and it ends at midnight, November 30th. Assuming for the moment that you check this out and get your free roadmap and training video, you'll see that we'll be developing your executive function skills in 3 phases: enlightened mind, empowered emotions, and bold behaviors. Plus, it's going to be fun. Hey, we are feeling-driven people, and if it isn't fun, we just don't engage. I love creating games and fun strategies for engaging learning experiences. Oh, a side note. If you're older than 30, you may have heard that your executive function skills start developing around the age of 2 and finish developing by age 30. That means that many adults are misinformed about what's possible for them. I'm 71 now, and my executive function skills are better than they've ever been. The majority of my students are over 30, and they're all developing their executive function skills. So, just like Roger Bannister busted the limiting belief that humans couldn't run a 4-minute mile or their heart would explode, I'm busting the limiting belief that adults over the age of 30 can definitely develop their executive function skills to become stronger and stronger over time, instead of the cognitive decline that we're led to believe awaits us as we get older. Definitely a limiting belief from my personal experience and those of my students. Neuroplasticity dictates that as long as we're here and alive, we can continue to develop the skills that we need. It doesn't cap out at 25 or 30, and that's it. So let's talk about what you can do to start developing your executive function skills today, because it seems to be the best kept secret in the mental health field. Your mind is a powerful asset, even if you currently don't feel that way about yours. It can learn and develop the skills that you need to succeed. Executive function skills are getting more and more press lately, and that's a good thing. There are books to read and podcasts to listen to, and all of that is great. It's about time that executive function skills came front and center. However, there's more to developing these skills than just gaining more information. You need to apply the information that you get, and often there are obstacles preventing you from doing so. Missing pre-skills, limiting beliefs, outdated identities, codependency, even cumulative traumatic experiences can all slow you down and keep you from developing the executive function skills that you need. I can tell you ways to develop the skills, but it doesn't mean that's going to be the right way for you. because what I've learned after 30 plus years of working individually with clients and working with my student groups for almost 6 years now is that people learn and develop their executive function skills differently. You can't get out of a book what you can get live by having someone offer you training and then answer your questions and guide you to find out what's going to work for you or what you need to do. And if you're reading a book to develop your skills, it's pretty cookie cutter with a book. That's why I'm actively involved in my programs and now will be actively involved in the Transformation Club as well. If you want to learn more about what you can get with this special time-limited lifetime membership in the Transformation Club, be sure that you get your free roadmap and training right away, because all the details of this special offer are right there under the training video. I've heard it said many times in years past that we are having two experiences in this lifetime, that of a human being having a spiritual experience and that of a spiritual being having a human experience. Either way, you are a precious child of the universe and are called a human being, not a human doing, for good reason. You don't have to earn your value. You were born with it. Your value comes from who you're being, not what you're doing, which means that you can wake up every single day with your value 100%, and that's pretty awesome. It's a great win. Speaking of wins, what's it going to be for you today? You have been making your bed every day for an entire week. That's wonderful. You've been spending 15 minutes a day decluttering your bedroom, and it's really coming along. That's awesome. You've been making yourself a priority at least once a week and feeling so much happier with your life. That's fantastic. Each one of these wins deserves your full-hearted celebrating. Yes, wow, awesome. I know you all have wins, big and small, and I'm hopeful that you're celebrating them all every day. How much time do we have? Not much. So let's get to it.
This podcast is sponsored by Pure Potential with Dr. B. You can head over to drbarbaracohen.com and find the podcast episodes and transcripts. Great free content, plus information on programs and products, including the groundbreaking online Adventures in Achievement Foundational Skills Training and Coaching Program. You can also learn about Dr. B's masterclasses on decision-making, time management, and banishing procrastination. That's drbarbaracohen.com.
My hope is that eventually more and more healthcare providers will see the benefits of specialized executive function skills training for adults, no matter what diagnosis they give us, since the development of these skills gets derailed for many conditions other than ADHD. And yes, it would be wonderful if we'd been given this opportunity when we were kids, but that didn't happen for most. We are being given this opportunity now as adults, and it's our choice to close the gap or not. Our quality of life depends on what we decide. There's 3 important pieces of the puzzle for well-being, and that is 1, your quality of sleep, 2, the nutrients for your mind, body, and 3, staying well hydrated. Are you getting a solid 8 hours of restorative sleep per night? Do you awaken feeling refreshed and energized? And what about the nutrients you're giving yourself? Are they wholesome and health building? And your daily hydration? Are you drinking your 64 ounces of pure water a day or more? You know, if you only drink water when you're thirsty, that's a sign of dehydration. So better to get ahead of it and drink water throughout the day. These 3 rituals are things that you can start building right away until they become your new automatic way of being. Daily consistency is so important here, as is keeping your word to yourself if you make the commitment to these 3 rituals. If you do decide to live by all 3 of them, they will change your life. And speaking of changing your life, that's also what developing your executive function skills will do for you. I tried many approaches for the development of my own executive function skills along the way, and I have found one approach to be truly effective: receiving specialized training, getting answers to my questions about that training, and making my changes in a judgment-free, supportive community environment where I am safe to be me. And that is what I created the Transformation Club to be. If you've been dreaming of better executive function skills, and who doesn't wish they were more organized and capable in their daily life, perhaps now is the time to go beyond dreaming. If you want to develop better executive functioning and just want to take a small step that will elevate your skills quickly, quicker than anything else you've ever worked with, I encourage you to check out the Transformation Club. Executive function skills are a system for a way of interfacing with your life experiences in an exceptionally productive way. This means more balancing your life and more things getting done. Choice is yours. If you're committed to becoming more competent, if you're actively seeking real solutions to your challenges, and if you're willing to invest in yourself, then get your free roadmap and free training about the Transformation Club. And if now is your time, I'll see you on the inside of the Transformation Club. We've already uploaded into the membership some training videos to get you started until we have our first live training in early December. Remember, you get lifetime access to the Transformation Club if you act now and get in before November 30th, 2022. Please slow down and become a student of your own life. Understand what you need to succeed with the multifaceted brain that you have. Take action on what you learn about yourself. This is the life work that lies ahead for you if this is your time. A favorite quote of mine. William Glasser said, "No human being will work hard at anything unless they believe that they are working for competence." I studied the works of William Glasser years ago. He was an American psychiatrist whose career highlights include theories about personal choice, personal responsibility, and personal transformation. His ideas about schools and learning not being where a place that we get set up to fail really touched me. Because if we're set up to fail, why bother to try? And if we're set up to succeed, it's okay to be a student and experience learning. It's what I do. So, if you're loving this podcast, check out the show notes for the links to get even more support. And if you found value in this episode, please leave me a review on Apple Podcasts. Our mission is to help as many people as possible transform their lives. And when you leave a positive review, more people can find this podcast. So click the link in the show notes, select ratings and reviews, and write a review and tell me what your favorite part of the podcast is. Thank you. If you're seriously ready to stop your needless suffering and develop your competence without overwhelm or moral judgments or self-doubt, so that you can feel calm and in control. Be sure to check the show notes about the Transformation Club, as well as all the other resources I have for you. I definitely wouldn't want you to miss out on something that I know will change your life and currently is available to you for a lifetime. These are real solutions to the challenges that you're experiencing, and they're available to you now. Time is our most precious asset, and none of us have time to waste on solutions that don't work. I would love to help you realize a new freedom. That is, if that's of interest to you. Thanks for listening. Until the next time, bye for now.
Thanks so much for listening today. If you're eager to make positive changes in your life and stop overwhelm and confusion from derailing you, head over to drbarbaracohen.com and see how Dr. B can help you today. Whether you love learning in an online group environment with personalized coaching or prefer the pace of guided self-study, Dr. B offers the skills, strategies, and individual support you need. Get started on your journey today by visiting the website at drbarbaracohen.com.